beast mode time! Ladies and gentlemen, beasts and beastettes, today we are talking about drugs, prescription drugs, primarily SSRIs, which is the primary form of antidepressant that is not over the counter. These are extremely prevalent today. It's really unfortunate where our society has gone. A lot of people don't understand the origin of SSRIs. Now, back in the day when these were created, they were only given to people on suicide watch. So it was a very small number of people. And other than that, the doctors were kind of just saying, hey, you're a little depressed. Hey, okay, that's normal. Exercise more, eat a little bit healthier. You'll feel better. It was only if you were thinking about killing yourself that you would receive an SSRI. Nowadays, it's a little bit different. You walk in, you're 50 pounds overweight, you're broke, nobody wants to date you, you got nothing going on with your life. You go and tell the doctor, I'm a little depressed. Here's drugs. Here's an SSRI. Nothing about your diet. Nothing about exercise, nothing about why you're depressed. Maybe there are reasons, causes. No, it's just, hey, I don't feel that good. Here, take these drugs without explaining to the patient the risks, the long-term risks that are associated with SSRIs. Now listen, I am not a doctor. I'm not claiming I know everything. I'm kind of going off the top of my head. Some of my information might be a little off, so don't take this as God's word. I don't take SSRIs, so I really shouldn't know all that much. But when I talk to people who take SSRIs, it amazes me that they know nothing about the drugs they're taking. A doctor just said, hey, here, take this drug. Okay. I'm not going to ask any questions like, why is this not over-the-counter legal? That should be your very first question. If you need to go to a doctor to get it, that means there's a side effect that is significant. Because if there were no side effects, if you could just go and take a drug with no side effects that just made you happy, guess what? It would be over the counter. The reason you need to get a prescription is because they are dangerous. And yet, 90% of the people that I talk to that are on SSRIs, they don't know anything. So first of all, if you're watching this YouTube video, congratulations, you're actually doing some research. So here's the problem with SSRIs. They are a little bit more effective, not significantly, but they are marginally more effective than over-the-counter treatments like 5-HTP and SAMe, which is what I would recommend. However, there are massive negative side effects long-term with and I believe it's serotonin syndrome. And what it is, so the way SSRIs work is you take this drug and there's two possible, they both affect serotonin, okay, and your ability to get more serotonin into the brain. But the way that SSRIs work is it works it at the brain level. So it makes it so your brain can absorb more serotonin. All right, so you take an SSRI and it does something to your brain so your brain can absorb more serotonin. Now, the way that 5-HTP and SAMe works is it increases serotonin production in the body, but does not affect the brain's ability to absorb serotonin. So here's why SSRIs are so much more dangerous. It's because most people, they don't have a problem with their brain's ability to absorb serotonin. And to be perfectly honest, most people don't even have a serotonin production issue. It's just that their life isn't together. That's why they're depressed. They don't even have a physical issue. There's nothing wrong with their brain. There's nothing wrong with their body. They just don't have their life together. They're fat. They're broke. Nobody wants to date them. They don't have anything going on with their life work-wise or passion. There's nothing going on. Of course you're depressed, but of course people want to take the pill. Give me the pill, doctor. I don't want to go through the hard work and fix my life. But again, you're looking it up, so you're going to do the right thing. But what do most people do? Just give me the pill. Just let me take the pill that will make me forget about all the things that are wrong with my life so I don't actually go and fix them, and they're just going to get worse and worse and worse. But anyway, so the way the SSRI works is it makes it so your brain can absorb more serotonin. But most people do not have a serotonin production issue in your body. Doctors do not test for this. They don't do, and I don't know if it's a blood test or exactly how they test it, but they don't test, but doctors do not test to see if your body is at a deficiency for a production of serotonin. They just give it to you. You say, I'm depressed. They say, okay, here's an SSRI. So what happens is because most people do not have a physical production issue with their serotonin, their brain starts absorbing more serotonin than it should because of the way that it operates with the SSRI. So, and again, this is kind of complicated to me because I don't understand it super, super well, but I'm trying to explain it the best that I understand it. But if it's a little jerky, I apologize. So when your brain absorbs, it starts absorbing more than it should because essentially your body is producing the correct amount of serotonin that it should, and your brain is absorbing the correct amount of serotonin that it should, but you're depressed because your life sucks. But then the doctor says, here's the pill that makes it so your brain absorbs more serotonin than it should. And then what happens is your brain starts getting more serotonin than it should. And short term, it makes you happier, but it's just like a drug where you need more and more as time goes on, which is why a lot of people over the years that they're taking they're taking SSRIs, their dosage amounts, it creeps up over the years. It's like caffeine, right? You need more and more and more as time goes on. It's not sustainable. Like I said, remember, what was the origin of SSRIs? And look this up yourself. Most people have no idea what the origin of SSRIs were, and they don't even know why it's not over the counter. Why is it prescription? It's because it was for people on suicide watch. It was a short-term thing. You're thinking about killing yourself. Okay, here's a drug that is detrimental long-term, but we're going to give it to you now because you're thinking about killing yourself. Once you're not thinking about killing yourself, we're going to take you off it because, again, it is detrimental long-term. But over the decades, that stopped happening. And they just say, stay on it because it's easier for doctors. And I'm not even blaming the doctors, by the way. They have way too much crap going on with their life. They can't be trying to fix every single person's life. So I'm not saying this is a problem with doctors. It's a problem with patients not doing the proper research. Although I do wish doctors wouldn't just hand out these dangerous things without educating their patients. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, you're the one putting it into your body. You need to do the research yourself and know what are you putting in your body and what are the long-term and short-term risks associated with it. So again, it's one of those drugs where you have to take more and more as time goes on. And then because your brain gets accustomed to taking more and more serotonin in, when you stop taking it, you have this bad rebound effect, where then you're even more depressed than you were originally. That's why you only want to take it short-term, very short-term, if you are doing it. The second you think you can get off of serotonin, you need to get off of serotonin. Because the longer you stay on it, the worse the withdrawals are going to be when you get off. And a lot of people get to a point where they just can't get off. They are addicted. They are physically addicted to it. Their body has acclimated to the increased amount of serotonin, and if they get off it, they're going to have really bad withdrawals, and then they might actually be in a bad situation where they would want to do something like suicide because the natural levels of serotonin absorption is just way too low after the artificial increased levels of serotonin absorption that they've been having over the years with the SSRIs. Now, here's how over-the-counter drugs like 5-HTP and SAMe work. And by the way, I have taken both. To this day, I still take 5-HTP. I take it every single night. I do not take SAMe just because it's like twice as expensive as 5-HTP, and I feel pretty freaking happy right now, and I'd rather just spend that money on other vitamins, and I kind of like to play around with my vitamins. I spend a lot of money on vitamins, but I do take 5-HTP every single day, and I have been for, I don't know, maybe like 2 years or something like that. Here's the way that the over-the-counter antidepressants work. It increases the amount of available serotonin in your body, but it does not affect the brain's ability to absorb serotonin. Again, this is not something doctors test for. They do not go into your brain and see, hey, does this person have a deficiency in their brain in their ability to absorb serotonin? Most people do not. They're just depressed, again, because their life is bad. However, if you are having an issue in your body where your body is not producing enough serotonin, this will fix it, but there's no negative side effects. it's kind of like a vitamin C or something, or if you take more, you just pee it out. So if you take you can't really overdose. Don't quote me on this, but for the most part, you can't overdose on 5-HTP or SAMe. If you take a whole bunch of it, you just pee out all the excess serotonin. So if there's excess serotonin in your body, the excess serotonin doesn't get into your brain because you don't have that SSRI in there. See, it's your brain will regulate how much serotonin it lets in. And that's why it's not dangerous to have excess serotonin in your body, because your brain is still regulating it. But when you take the SSRI, it opens up those floodgates where now the brain is not regulating how much serotonin comes in. That's why it's so dangerous. And you can, again, don't quote, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe you can die if you take an SSRI and unknowingly, accidentally also take something like 5-HTP or SAMe that raises your body's serotonin levels. That's how dangerous SSRIs are. Where because your brain is no longer regulating how much serotonin it's letting in, if you start, if somebody is just like, oh yeah, why don't you take some 5-HTP as because people also say use 5-HTP as like a sleep aid. You take it right before bed because it also helps you fall asleep. So there are people that don't have any depression issues, but they still take, honestly, I take it just as much for sleep as I do I'm not depressed or anything, but there's no negative side effects. It's just a healthy supplement to add to your diet. There's no reason not to take 5-HTP before bed because it also helps you go to bed. So if somebody is like, oh, I'm having kind of insomnia issues, and then somebody who doesn't have the knowledge, most people have no idea that if you take 5-HTP with an SSRI, you can get serotonin syndrome. And I believe, again, don't quote me on this, I believe you can die, or at least you can get really messed up, if not die, from the serotonin syndrome. That's how dangerous things are. And I have actually met people who were taking SSRIs and taking 5-HTP as a sleep aid, and they had no idea about the dangers that they were potentially subject to. So, look, again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to tell you take SSRIs or don't take SSRIs. Ultimately, that's up to you to decide how depressed you are and how much you think you need to have SSRIs. But just understand, when you take SSRIs today, you are doing more damage to yourself in the future. Every day you take that SSRI, you're making your body more dependent on it, and you're making your brain acclimate more to needing more and requiring more serotonin just to maintain that standard level of happiness. So it's not the smartest sustainable method of trying to cure your depression. Now, another kind of thing that gets me is these people, they take the drugs, but they never really try to solve the core causes of the depression. Why are you depressed? Again, when you go to a doctor, they don't say, why are you depressed? They say, you say you're depressed. They say, okay, here's a drug, take it. It's really dangerous, but I'm not going to tell you that. I'm just going to say, take this drug, you go take it. I'm not even going to talk to you again for a couple of years. Why are you depressed? Most people are overweight. They don't make that much money. They are not in a happy relationship, or they're not happy with the quality of their partner if they have one at all. They don't have a job that they like or are proud of. No wonder they're depressed. Is that really a surprise? If you are fat and broke and do not have a high quality partner, does it really surprise you that you're depressed? The solution is not to take drugs to mask the problem. Your body, your brain is telling you that there is a problem. Your brain is telling you, hey, you are capable of more than this. Let's look at the facts. Let's look at the numbers. First of all, I hope you've all heard of the super common, it's one of the most widely stated kind of studies that everybody should know, which is reported happiness increases with income up until, I think it's like $72,000 or $75,000. It was a couple years back. So in 2017, 2018 numbers, it would be the equivalent of about 80 grand. So that's a national United States average. So your happiness, you're reported. So this is subjective, how happy you report yourself to be, right? Because at the end of the day, depression and happiness it's subjective. There's no like black and white, whatever. It's how do you feel? I'm depressed or I'm happy. So how happy you rate yourself goes up with income up until about $80,000 in 2017, 2018 numbers. So therefore, if you make less money, you are more likely to not be happy. Now, we shouldn't really need a statistic to tell us that, but okay, whatever. There is a statistic that tells us that money does make you more happy to a degree. What else do we have? Fat people are 5 times more likely to be depressed than non-fat people. Okay, specifically, technically, we're talking morbidly obese people, which I think is, it's called class 3 obesity, which is BMI of 40 plus. So again, I'm not an expert, so I could be, that's what I think it is. So yeah, 5 times more likely to be depressed if you are a BMI of 40 or above compared to a person who is not obese. Again, that really shouldn't surprise you, but if you want a fact to back it up, there's a statistic. 5 times as likely to be depressed if you are overweight. What else do we have? What other statistics? Okay, divorce. Everybody knows the number 1 cause of divorce is money. We all know that. If you don't know that, like, just do any research that ever existed on divorce. And you'll know money is the number 1 cause for divorce, a lack of money. If you earn $30,000, you are 30% more likely to get a divorce than if you earn $50,000. Again, you are still broke if you earn $50,000. So I'd be a little bit more curious of like 30,000 as opposed to 300,000, but whatever. The only numbers I could find at the time were 30,000 compared to 50,000. But nonetheless, you're still 30% more likely to get divorced if you make $30,000 instead of $50,000. If you earn $35,000 per year, you're 50% more likely to kill yourself than if you earn $60,000 per year. And as I've already stated, if you earn $60,000 per year, you're still broke. I remember when I earned $60,000 a year, it's not that much money. All the statistics are showing that if you're fat, you're going to be depressed. If you're broke, you're going to be depressed. I don't have a statistic to show this or a study, but I would say if you don't have a lot going on in your professional life, if you're making your little $12 an hour and you hate your job and it's insignificant, you're doing something you don't care about, you're probably more likely to be depressed. So look at the cause. Stop looking for a pill to make you fix your life. Why are you depressed? Now, I'm not saying that there are not people who have chemical imbalances in their brain or chemical imbalances in their body. I'm not saying there's not a place and time for prescription drugs. I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy who's anti-prescription drugs 100% of the time. But the large majority of the time, it's because the person's life, they are not satisfied with their life because they're not living nearly up to their full potential. And guys, I'm not saying that just because you lose a couple pounds or you start making a little bit more money that all of a sudden magically it's rainbows and sunshines and unicorns prancing on the ferry every single day. No, prairie, whatever. You get the point what I'm trying to say, right? You get what I'm saying. You still have your bad days, but it's a different type of a bad day. When you're broke, your bad day is like, I don't know how I'm going to pay rent. It's like, I hate my boss, but I can't quit because I'm broke and I don't have anything else I can go do. It's living in fear of your car breaking down every single day because you know if your car breaks down, you can't afford to get it fixed. It's not being able to eat healthy foods because you can't afford fresh fruits and vegetables. It's a different quality of problem. You start doing a little bit better financially and all those problems go away. And the problem, like I said, I still have bad days, but pretty much 100% of my bad days is just me knowing that I'm not living up to my full potential. My bad days is just me pushing myself. It's me saying, Knight, you've been lazy lately. Knight, you know you are capable of more than this. Knight, you know you can contribute more to the world than this. You can do more than this. It's a higher quality problem. And ladies and gentlemen, I do not want you to think that I don't care about you, because I have a very, I admit it, I have a very harsh tone, a very unforgiving tone, and a lot of people interpret that as me not caring. It is not that I do not care. It is that being soft isn't going to fix the problem. I do care about you, but sometimes you need someone to be a little tough on you, who will not accept your excuses. If I accept your excuses, you don't change. So you have two options. You can either go tell someone your excuses and feel sorry for yourself and not have anything change, or you can say, hey, it is what it is. I'm going to stop complaining about it. I'm going to stop making excuses, and I'm going to freaking change my life. At least then you have a chance. There's no guarantee that anything is going to happen. But if you stop making excuses and you try, there is at least a chance you will succeed. I hope you guys don't hate me. I do care about you. I just believe that you need someone to be a little more demanding of you, to expect more of you. Because maybe the reason why you're fat and depressed and broke is because people don't expect anything of you. I expect more of you. I expect greatness of you. I demand it. Be great.